what are some of the pitfalls you fell into? Maybe I think we've already kind of touched on one, this idea of like not seeing the bigger picture, but is there anything else in terms of like if it's technique or if it's like mindset or songwriting stuff, anything in particular? Or
I think a lot of people will try and compare themselves to another artist, another player, which I've always found is a dangerous game to get into, because I used to do it myself. I used to compare myself, when I was learning more and more at uni. I think it's natural, obviously, because you always want to progress and you've got to have a reference point of where you want to get to versus where you are. But when you get a certain distance down the line, when you're still comparing your overall songwriting or whatever to someone else's, and that it's not as good or it's not like this, I think you'll never really get what you want out of it if you're trying to compare and trying to write like someone else. But if you're staying true to your own playing, and if you're confident, I think it's a big thing really, having the confidence in your own playing and your own songwriting skills, and pushing that instead of like writing something straight away after listening to a song or something like that. Don't get me wrong, it takes a lot of time. It's never going to happen overnight. But it's definitely an easy trap to fall into, especially when you got so many insane young players now that can just shred like no other. Like, it's mad. But yeah, I think that would be my best advice for that is write what you want to write instead of what you think someone else wants you to write or what you think social media wants you to write, kind of thing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've got 1,000 views on a video or 200,000 views. If you're happy with what you've written, social media is a crap world really, because sometimes your video could reach 200k people, but sometimes it could just completely flop, and it's not really a testament to how good or bad the music is. It's just how social media works now and their stupid algorithms. So write what you want to write instead of what you think other people or the social media will think you should write in order to gain views.
Is there's kind of is that something that is easier to? Because I think a lot of people, if they're listening, will say they've got 200 followers on their account and they maybe haven't had a chance to go out with a band or anything. They're just kind of playing on their own. A more cynical kind of person would say, "Oh, it's easy for you to say you've got loads of followers and you've got loads of views." See, it's a bit like when if someone who's really rich says, "Oh, don't worry about money," or like money won't make you happy. It's like, well, yeah, but it's easy to say when you got all of it. Like, but I suppose ultimately, you've gone through that process. It's not like you've just always had people watching you.
I started with, before I even posted anything video or music related back in, I don't know, probably 2017 or something, in my second year of uni, I had like 99 followers on Instagram, just from friends. That was just friends from like, school, uni and all that. And then, come 6 years later, it's a lot of work, and there's times where you don't really do anything with it, but it pays off at the end of the day. Yeah. Do you feel like, is there anything that particularly happened, or was it like a moment or a collection of things that helped you sort of come to terms with that sort of idea of just putting out what you want rather than, sort of complying with what you think is just going to be popular? Was there like a moment, or have you always been good at that, or did something happen where you're like, yeah, I need to just do what I like doing, I don't know really, because I've always liked to learn stuff that I like to play. Like, I remember in my guitar lessons when I was first playing, I never really wanted to play the stuff that my teacher was telling me to play to in order to get better at technique. I kind of fobbed that off a little bit and then started going on. That was like kind of in the days when Ultimate Guitar and, YouTube lessons were becoming a bigger thing. So I spent more time on there trying to learn it myself. And so I think in that respect, I've definitely spent a good amount of time, learning stuff that I think people would not be impressed by, but like, kind of thing. But I think majority of the time I've always listened to the music I like listening to. I've not learned stuff for the sake of learning it. I tend to, with me, if I have an album I like, I tend to stick on that album for ages. And a lot of the time, all I'll listen to is that album or stuff related to that album, and I'll not like branch away from it, which is both, it's good and bad. But at the same time, it means I'm not just listening to loads of music because the world tells me I need to listen to lots of different styles of music. I'm just listening to what I like and I'm playing what I like. So